Imagine this. Someone hurts you. They lie to you. They disrespect you. They make you cry more often than they make you smile. And yet you stay. Not for a week, not for a month, sometimes for years. From the outside, it seems irrational. Friends look at the relationship and ask, "Why don't you just leave?" But here's the shocking truth. Most people don't stay in toxic relationships because they're weak. They stay because their brain is running psychological programs they don't even realize exist.
Programs built from fear, attachment, hope, and sometimes childhood conditioning. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden psychology behind toxic relationships. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why intelligent, successful, and emotionally aware people can still get trapped in relationships that slowly destroy their happiness. Because the most dangerous prison isn't the one with bars. It's the one that exists inside your mind. Let's begin.
Big idea number 1. People don't fall in love with reality, they fall in love with potential. One of the biggest reasons people stay in toxic relationships is because they're not attached to who the person is, they're attached to who the person could become. Think about that. Many toxic relationships don't start toxic. In the beginning, everything feels magical. The person is caring, attentive, affectionate. They make you feel special. And then slowly, things begin to change. The insults start. The manipulation appears. The neglect grows. But instead of accepting the new reality, people keep chasing the memory of who that person used to be. Their mind keeps saying, maybe they'll change. Maybe things will go back to normal. Maybe the old version of them is still there. And this creates a dangerous trap, because you're no longer dating the actual person. You're dating a future fantasy. Imagine buying a broken car because the salesman promises that someday it might work perfectly. Sounds ridiculous, right? Yet many people do exactly that in relationships. They sacrifice years of their life waiting for a version of someone that may never exist. The painful truth is this: potential is not reality. And relationships must be judged by consistent behavior, not occasional promises.
Big idea number 2. The brain becomes addicted to emotional roller coasters. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Toxic relationships often create something psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, and it's one of the strongest forms of conditioning known to human behavior. Here's how it works. One day, the person treats you terribly. The next day, they become loving and affectionate. Then they pull away again. Then they come back. Pain, relief, over and over. At first glance, this seems unhealthy, but your brain reacts differently. Every time affection returns after a period of pain, your brain releases powerful chemicals associated with reward and relief. The result? You start craving the good moments even more. It's similar to gambling. A gambler doesn't know when the next reward will come, but that uncertainty keeps them hooked. And toxic relationships often work the same way. You keep waiting for the next good moment, the next apology, the next loving message, the next promise that things will be different. And because those moments arrive unpredictably, they become incredibly powerful. This explains why people sometimes feel more attached to toxic partners than healthy ones. Healthy love is stable. Toxic love feels intense. And many people confuse intensity with love. But they're not the same thing. A firework is intense. A lighthouse is reliable. One dazzles you for seconds. The other guides you safely for years. Real love looks more like the lighthouse, not the firework.
Big idea number 3. Fear of loneliness often feels worse than pain. Let's talk about one of the most powerful forces in human psychology: fear. Specifically, the fear of being alone.
For many people, the thought of leaving a toxic relationship creates terrifying questions. What if I never find anyone else? What if I end up alone forever? What if nobody loves me again? And because the future feels uncertain, the brain chooses what feels familiar, even if that familiar situation is painful. Human beings are wired to seek certainty. Our brains often prefer familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom. Think about someone stuck in a miserable job. They complain every day, they're exhausted, they're unhappy, yet they stay. Why? Because quitting means entering uncertainty. Relationships work the same way. Many people aren't choosing happiness, they're choosing predictability. And unfortunately, predictability can become a prison. The irony is that the loneliness people fear after leaving is often temporary, but the loneliness inside a toxic relationship can last forever. You can be sitting next to someone every day and still feel completely alone.
Big idea number 4. Your childhood may be writing your love story. This is perhaps the most uncomfortable lesson of all. Many of our relationship patterns begin long before our first relationship. They begin in childhood. Psychologists have discovered that children learn what love looks like from their earliest experiences. If love was consistent, supportive, and safe, they often develop healthy expectations. But if love was unpredictable, conditional, or emotionally unavailable, those patterns can follow them into adulthood. Imagine a child who only receives attention after working hard for approval. That child may grow into an adult who believes love must be earned. They may chase emotionally unavailable partners because the dynamic feels familiar. Not healthy, just familiar. This is one reason people sometimes repeat the same painful relationship over and over with different faces. The names change, the stories change, but the pattern remains. The mind keeps recreating what it knows until awareness breaks the cycle. And that's why understanding your past isn't about blaming anyone. It's about recognizing the invisible script you've been following. Because once you see the script, you can rewrite it.
Big idea number 5. Hope can be both a gift and a trap. Hope is one of humanity's greatest strengths. It helps people survive hardship, build dreams, overcome obstacles. But in toxic relationships, hope can become dangerous, because hope sometimes convinces us to stay long after reality tells us to leave. People often remember isolated moments, a romantic weekend, a heartfelt apology, a promise to change, and they use those moments as evidence that everything will eventually improve. But here's an important psychological principle. A person's future behavior is best predicted by their past behavior, not their intentions, not their promises, their actions. Words create hope, actions create trust, and when actions repeatedly contradict words, reality deserves your attention. The healthiest relationships don't require endless hope, because healthy love consistently proves itself again and again through actions, not speeches.
Actionable steps. What you can do today. So, how do you protect yourself from these psychological traps? Here are 3 powerful actions you can take immediately. Step 1. Judge patterns, not moments. Stop focusing on isolated good days. Look at the overall pattern. Ask yourself, how do I feel most of the time in this relationship? Safe, respected, valued, or anxious, confused, and exhausted? Patterns reveal truth. Moments can hide it. Step 2. Separate reality from potential. Take a piece of paper. Write down who the person actually is today, not who they might become, not who they were years ago, who they are right now.
This simple exercise can create life-changing clarity. Step 3. Strengthen your relationship with yourself. Many toxic relationships survive because self-worth is weak. The stronger your self-respect becomes, the less willing you are to tolerate disrespect from others. Invest in yourself, build friendships, develop skills, create a life that doesn't depend on one person's approval. Because when your value comes from within, manipulation loses its power.
At the end of the day, the question isn't, why do people stay in toxic relationships? The real question is, what are they afraid will happen if they leave? And once you understand that fear, you begin to understand the psychology behind the choice. Remember, love should not feel like a constant battle for peace. It should not require you to abandon your self-respect. It should not force you to shrink yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. The right relationship won't make you question your worth every day. It will remind you of it. And sometimes the most powerful act of self-love isn't holding on, it's having the courage to let go. If this video changed the way you think about relationships, subscribe to Mental Shift, because understanding your mind is the first step toward changing your life, and your next breakthrough might be just one video away.